Welcome. I'm going to do a quick tutorial on some of the features of Pymol that will be important to you. I'll also do this in a study session, and if you have questions you can just come find me. I'd also recommend that if you need help you could also use UCSF Chimera or University of California San Francisco Chimera program. If you just type that into Google, you can download this program. This is just another software program that exists, and you can quickly download. They have all sorts of users guide. It's a little easier to use. Pymol's a lot more powerful, so that's why I use it. Anyway, you can download, if you go to Pymol Molecular Flipbook in Blackboard, I have the installation program for Pymol. You don't need to buy anything. There's also an installation for Mac and for Linux, and there's also a whole listing of Pymol resources that you can, tutorials. There's 2 tutorials that are really good, and there's also a link to the wiki pages for Pymol. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you a couple things today. I'm going to show you how to bring your molecule in, how to color, how to see the functional groups, and how to rotate the molecules, how to add some labels, and how to zoom. The next lecture or tutorial I'll get you learning how to do scenes. So and we'll just keep going for that. Okay, so I'm going to pull up a molecule that I know that most of you are familiar with. It's going to be the GD protein. So let's just go ahead and let's go over here. I've already done the search, but let's go ahead and do a search again. So if I type in herpes GD E317, which is your second test question, I'm going to get 2 models. Both were X-ray models, X-ray crystallography models. So I now know that 3W9E, I'm going to use that one because it also has the complex with GD. So that's the model I'm going to pull in. So I'm going to do fetch 3W9D, and you can download this and use this. You can download it from the PDB and open here if you would like. I believe there's also a way to download directly from the PDB from this menu. Here's the viewer. This is where the molecule shows up, and this is where the program. I usually like to spread them out and put them on different monitors. For this program though, since I only can record one, I'm going to have it in one. So over here is this is how it comes across, and it's a stick figure, and it's not very nice, and I commonly very quickly, oops, I fetched the wrong one. Okay, and then since I put the wrong one in there, I can do a quick delete 3W9D. So you'll notice they're both over here. I could hide this one, and it's still in there if I wanted to, but I can also just delete it, and it'll delete that, and it'll take it away from being over there. So that's a quick way to do that. So if I look at this, there's actually 3 molecules in here. If I go to display sequence, here's the sequence that exists for all of these 3. If I pull up Flipbook, and I did this earlier, so this is the same model. This molecule right here is the same way it looks in Flipbook. So down at the bottom we have, I think that's right, we may have, anyway, on this molecule there is the GD down here. That's chain. If you look at it, you can see that it's labeled as, and I'll do this very commonly, it's labeled as chain C, so the model is 3W9EC. Over here it's 3W9EB. That's the light chain of E317, so that's chain B. And right over here is E317 heavy chain, and that's chain A in this program. So there's 3 chains in this program. Molecular flip in the background right there, that's a different model. That's the 4MYW. 4MYW model of glycoprotein D. So, oops, I picked the wrong model to make invisible. So not to be distracting. So here's now the three models, and that's what this looks like. So if I come into here, if I type in select, this is just so I name it, select GD, comma, I'm down at the bottom here. Select GD chain, and I think it was C. Yeah, it's chain C. Boom. Oh, okay, so I had it backwards up here. So this is chain C. Now it's labeled in here as GD. If I go to select E317 light chain, comma, as chain B, now I can see, so I have GD down here, I have the light chain at E317 right there, it's labeled up there, it's labeled up there. Select E317 heavy as chain A. Okay, so now that's labeled up there. Now I can just very quickly hide everything, and it'll hide that molecule. If I click and highlight it, it'll kind of show where it's at. This is selection. If I click off it, that's going to go away. So if I'm in E317 light chain, I can hide everything. And now I only have the GD molecule here. If I want to make this a little more friendly to look at, I click on S, and I can click on spheres, and now it looks a little nicer. And I can even color those spheres by going over to the C, and I like to make it gray 90 so that I know exactly what I got. So now I have a beginning of something that I like to work with. The first thing I always like to do is identify where I am, where the molecule is. And so there's a glycosylation site at 90 on this lysine, and I like just to color that real quickly in a magenta. That way I know where it's at. And there's also one at 2. Okay, I apologize. There's also one, I got lost there for a minute because I was going down too far on the molecule. There's also one at 215, the serine, so that just gives me a quick frame of reference to where I need to be. And now I know, okay, now I know where the molecule is, and now I can go ahead and start. Okay. So if I want to color this, I'm going to do some more selections here. So I'm going to select nectin. And I just paste it in because I already know that. So all of these residues are now selected, and you'll see that there's a site right there. And then I can very quickly and easily color that orange. Did I not do that? Okay, sorry. So I can go in here and very quickly make nectin orange, and you can see that this is the nectin binding site on GD. And you can do that for whatever you want to do. This just gives me a frame of reference for where I am on the molecule. So it'd be like walking up to a globe of, a globe of the Earth, and you're looking at it from the Australian side, and you're like, what is this? So this just kind of flips it over and gives me a frame of reference to where things are going. So I can also, you might have noticed that I can color nectin down here. I can use the command line, and I can color it red. Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. It's color red, comma nectin, and that'll make that red. Or I can do color orange, comma nectin, and it makes it. I'm having trouble with nectin typing today, and selection for that matter. So anyway, that just makes those molecules red once I set that selection in there. And if I don't want that in there anymore, that selection, I can type in delete down here at the bottom, and I'll do this quite frequently because I don't really like that in there. So now that's not in there anymore. Up here, that selection is gone. So that's how you can kind of get an idea of where everything's at. Okay, if I want to look at I can label things here. So I can label the the residues here by just clicking on that, and if you zoom in, so I'm using the left mouse button will rotate things around. The right button I can zoom in on these things, and that allows me to get in closer to the molecules. And we probably should, let's see if I can fix this real quick. I can clear the labels, but I can zoom in with my left mouse button in here. Okay, so one thing that you're going to want to be careful of, and I'm using the right mouse button. I had to figure this out because I forgot. Sometimes Pymol's funny. So one thing you're going to be concerned about with spheres is spheres hides a lot of things. So I really like the way spheres works, but it kind of obscures some labels. So one of the things that I would recommend doing is hiding the spheres. And if you look at the nectin, you can label the nectin right here by the residue name. You can see that all of the now I'm right clicking and dragging, and you can see that all of the residues are labeled. I can also go in here and I can show as a cartoon, so I can see the secondary structure of the nectin binding domain. If I want to look at the whole thing as a cartoon, now I can look at it and I can see all of the and if I zoom in, I can really effectively see what's going on. So if I want to clear all the labels, I can clear out the labels. Now I have all the secondary structures. I also have all the functional groups are being shown. If I want to clear that out, I can just go into hide side chains, and that'll remove all the side chains on there. If I click down here, I can remove not polymer, and that'll remove all the water molecules that are surrounding this space. So now I've got this crystal structure. This is a ribbon diagram, a cartoon ribbon diagram, and you can see where the nectin binding domain comes in really nicely. And I can also set the spheres. So if I wanted to set the spheres of the nectin binding domain, which I can do, or I could do a surface. The surface, you can now see that there's a surface which I can hide as well. I can also show it as a mesh diagram, and I can see where the positive and negative interactions are on that molecule. Again, I can come in and I can start labeling things as I need to. I can show the side chains just as sticks or spheres. Right there's spheres. I did not mean to do that. So I just hit all the I hit all those other side chains. I probably need to hide all the side chains here. So that's how I can get the diagram to where I need it to be. Okay, so rotating around, I can do this with my mouse, with my left mouse button. My left mouse button will move it like this. I do right mouse button, it's going to zoom in and out. I use my mouse roller, it's going to go right through the middle of the molecule. It's going to keep the perspective, whereas if I do this, I'm going to zoom in. So, but I still keep I'm only zooming into a spot. My roller, I can go all the way through the molecule, and then I'm on the back side. So this one, I'm going through the molecule. Okay, and with my right mouse button, I'm just zooming in at I'm only zooming in to a point. Whereas with the roller, I'm going to go I have the same perspective, and I'm going all the way through. Okay. So that kind of gives you an idea of how to do, color label. The labels can all be right here. You can customize those, and there's all sorts of other. You can also use all the command lines to get labels and put stuff in there as well. And I can zoom and I can identify the functional groups, as I mentioned earlier. If I put on a sphere on here, I just did hide. If I do spheres, I'm going to hide a whole bunch of stuff. If I hide that sphere, all of a sudden I got a nice little diagram here, and I can look at it. Well, that'll be my first little tutorial on Pymol. A couple of points that you're going to want to remember. Using this area right here, you can color and do all sorts of other things. I can also use the command line to pull everything in. Don't forget to set your display so you can see the sequence. That is very handy a lot of times if you're trying to identify specific residues. You know that this 131 is important, and whatever point from the primary sequence is important, and you can see. So anyway, that's a command. I'll do more later. Enjoy.